Hi, everybody, and welcome to Philadelphia on a Saturday night here in the city of brotherly love. A very special night here in Philadelphia as the Phillies host the Marlins, third of a four-game set, as it was Wall of Fame night here. Their former general manager, Pat Gillick, honored on the Phillies Wall of Fame. Lots of former Phillies here, including the widow and the family of the late Roy Halladay, who was also honored today. Of course, Roy Halladay tragically dying in a plane accident and honored tonight here by the Philadelphia Phillies. Arguably one of the most dominant pitchers in the early part of this century. Of course, his battery mate Carlos Ruiz revealing the plaque in the outfield here at Citizens Bank Park. With that, we say hi again, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. Well, a very emotional night tonight here in Philadelphia. Fan of the Phillies or not, it was very sad to look back at the life of Roy Halladay.
I'll say this, the Philadelphia Phillies organization has been around a very long time, and boy, do they know how to acknowledge their history, and that's certainly it. It's been a moving moment. I mean, the last 30 minutes, I've been choking back tears watching this. From Halladay on down, I mean, it's just been kind of a gripping, period in their history, but one that they're also celebrating as well, celebrating the championship team of '08.
That's right. 10 years ago, they made it to the World Series and won, beating the Tampa Bay Rays. This year, they are poised to get back to the postseason, entering play tonight in first place in the National League East. Part of the reason why Rhys Hoskins, who has been superb since the All-Star break and, frankly, superb against the Marlins this year and last year.
Now, my goodness gracious, he's finding a way, even against the nasty changeup last night, drove in the go-ahead run early in the ball game. I mean, almost slowed his swing down even to come up with contact. And continues to add on. You're right. I mean, this offense, circle him. You try to eliminate him each and every night and try not to have him impact the ball game, but he seems to be finding a way here in the second half as that power is surging. So are his numbers, and so are this Philadelphia Phillies team.
And we will see if Jose Urena can quiet his bat and the rest of the Phillies' bats. He's coming off a stellar start last time out against the Washington Nationals. 1 hit over 6. The entire team, him in the bullpen, 2 hits against the Nationals last time out. He got his first home win of the season.
Well, and the one thing that you're going to pay attention to tonight, I'm certainly looking for his slider and his changeup. Now, before his last start, his slider and changeup had been knocked around. Of the 10 hits that he'd given up in the 2 previous starts, he'd given up 8 on those secondary pitches. Now, last start against the Nats, he threw 30 of them. Did not give up a hit on either of those pitches, so they became big factors. We talked about this a little bit last night with this Philadelphia Phillies team. They love to jump on fastballs, so does Hoskins, but if you can change speeds, much like Richards did so nicely last night, you can find some success.
Well, they need to find some success with the bats as well, and it'll be another tough test tonight. Zach Eflin is on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. You look back at his last 9 starts, he's pitching to an ERA of 3.2.
Yeah, he's been pitching very well. The one thing that really just stands out, and he's been pitching a little bit rough around the edges, if you will, over his last few starts, is that he's been giving up some home runs. In fact, last 4 ball games, he's given up a home run. We'll see if that can be a factor tonight for the Marlins, who are struggling to get the offense going again.
Yeah, looking to snap a 4-game skid. They will do so tonight. Try to, at least, against Zach Eflin and the Philadelphia Phillies. We step aside here from Citizens Bank Park. When we come back, we got the first pitch from Philly coming up right after the break. brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. A special night for the Phillies faithful here at Citizens Bank Park. Marlins and Phillies getting set for the third of a 4-game set. Of course, the former GM here in Philadelphia, Pat Gillick, honored along with the late Roy Halladay, his widow and sons here. She gave a very heartfelt speech, had to fight back tears, as did the close to 35,000 in the ballpark as well. Of course, Roy Halladay, arguably one of, if not the best pitcher of his generation. Of course, one of the many great moments in his career was the perfect game that he threw in the regular season against the Miami, then Florida Marlins, right, just in advance of his no-hitter in the postseason.
You kind of, hinted around it, probably no intent meant. I mean, the idea is that as a former player, I guess that's where I'm going with this. So many of us talking about the perfect game and everything else that surrounded Halladay in his career. None of us surprised, whether it's the no-hitter, whether it's the perfect game, whether it's the number of pitches he would throw in a game. I remember when he first kind of started doing his thing with the Toronto Blue Jays, it was all about the complete game, finishing what you started. He kind of started a trend that way. Roy Halladay was at the forefront of so many great pitcher conversations, and undoubtedly an incredible competitor, and that's what kind of defined him the most.
He threw 9 complete games in a season.
Yes.
4 times.
Well, I mean,
and then
we don't talk that way anymore. We're not allowed
no,
to.
we don't. That's exactly why I felt it necessary to point out the 67 complete games that he had in his career. We do not see that anymore.
Right, and he is, just, obviously a few years removed from just the incredible career that he had, and that's really who he is and what he was all about. And the Philadelphia Phillies fans here certainly got to see that. Certainly saw him at his best, some of the great stuff that he was able to do, and that's just it. I competed against him a number of times, and I mean, man, oh man, he had it going on. He didn't throw the hardest. He just knew what he was looking to do. He could turn the ball over as well as anybody. He knew how to get a strike low and away, and he knew how to, I use the words, be efficient, honestly, I guess in a different era, the way that we talked about efficiency.
Yeah, if there's some younger fans watching who maybe didn't see Roy Halladay in his prime, think of a guy like Max Scherzer or a guy like Clayton Kershaw. Every 5th day, those guys take them out, and you think something special could happen tonight.
Correct.
That's the way it was for Roy Halladay.
Absolutely, right. You even saw it as a competitor going up against Halladay, the idea that when he was starting against you, and that's essentially what I did, I never played with him as a teammate, you knew that one of the game's greatest was going, and you kind of took it upon yourself like, hey, we got a chance to be one of the best in the game today. Let's go out there and try to do our best.
Absolutely. Marlins will try to do their best tonight, try to get in the win column in this series, snap a 4-game skid. Here is a look at their starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. Slightly new look, certainly at the top. Magneuris Sierra gets his first leadoff duties here with the Marlins. You see Isaac Galloway getting his first start ever in the big leagues. Almost 950 minor league games. He got his first big league hit the other night in Atlanta. He gets his first start tonight against Zach Eflin, who, again, what the Phillies are doing right now, pass the ball to the next guy. Their starters have been terrific.
Yeah, Zach Eflin certainly part of that. 3.64 ERA, 76 2/3 innings. How about a whip of 1.17? That really stands out to my eyes. He's been pitching very well this season. Quality starts in 6 of 15. 4-seam fastball, sinker, slider, curve, and change. The Marlins did see him this year. Let's go ahead and get you the AutoNation scouting report. Why not? Let's do it. Breakout season. In fact, he's already got a career high in innings and starts this season, and he's nearly cut his ERA from last year, Paul, from 6.16 to 3.64 this season. So it has certainly been a breakout season for him. The question is, where will it go? Again, told you already, career high in innings and career high in starts. So June boom, July swoon. How about June? 5-0, 1.76 ERA. July 1-1 with a 5.40. Well, here's the deal. 2 earned runs or more in all 4 July starts. In June, 2 earned runs or less. And the Dinger Diary in July, 4 starts, homers in all 4 games. That's really what stands out. Of the 6 home runs, 5 came against his fastball.
Well, there is that fastball, and it's up and out of the zone to Magneuris Sierra. Takes ball 1 again in the leadoff spot tonight. We've seen a few different guys the last week or so. Of course, Castro and the Dietrichs and the Rojas even a couple of days ago, and now it is Sierra. Ball and a strike to Magnieris. He was 1 for 3 last night with a run scored. He is 5 for 13 with the double and 2 RBIs on this road trip through Atlanta and now here in Philadelphia.
Again, Sierra, even to start the ball game, you'll see what he does the most, about 65 to 68% of the time. That four-seam fastball and the sinker. He loves to use his fastball, uses his slider as his primary, secondary pitch.
May have broken his bat. Loops this one out to shallow center field, and it is Cesar Hernandez for the first out.
Let's get you the Philadelphia Phillies defensively tonight. Hoskins gets to start once again in left. Quinn in center, making only his 3rd start of the season, and 2nd in center field. Williams over on right. Franco Cabrera, Hernandez, and Santana. Knapp behind the plate, making his 37th start. He's got 8 errors, so keep your eye on Knapp. He's had some difficulties behind home plate. See manager Gabe Kapler. He's got these Philadelphia Phillies playing well at Citizens Bank Park. How about a 36-18 record at home?
Anderson swings at the first pitch. Down the right field line and into the seats. 0-1 to Bryant, who was 2 for 3 last night. Now 36 multi-hit games to lead all rookies. Leads the team as well. And among everybody in the National League, he is tied for 4th. Right back to Eflin. 2 away. I'll bring up JT Realmuto, who was 0 for 4 last night. Cooled off a little bit on this road trip, 3 for 17. Does have the 14 home runs, 53 RBIs. The average still up over 300, thanks in part to an 8-game hit streak that did come to an end last night with the offer. He bats with nobody on and 2 out here in the first.
JT's done very well on the road this year. 308 average.
Night game tonight, of course, the day game tomorrow. So Don Mattingly wanting to give some guys some days off here and there, so that might mean a guy like JT Realmuto perhaps not in the lineup tomorrow. We shall see. But again, the Marlins in a stretch of, I believe it's 14 straight games right now, even though they did have the rain out the other night. All that means is that they'll have a doubleheader coming up on the 13th against the Braves. A strikeout for Eflin, who sets the Marlins down 1-2-3 in the first. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, and Jessica Blaylock with you. Take a look at the Phillies starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. Cesar Hernandez, who is in a bit of a rut right now, leads things off for the Phillies. Rhys Hoskins tied with Nolan Arenado, 44 RBIs since he came off the disabled list, the date being June 9th. He's been on an absolute tear. We talked about Hoskins in the open, something that Jose Urena is going to have to quiet down today, making his team leading 22nd start of the year.
Yeah, he's coming off an absolute gem. 6 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs against the Nats. That was at home. This is his first road start. How about this? Since June 20th. It's been a while. Four-seam fastball, change and slider. You know, keep an eye on that changeup and slider. When he's got him, he's really good. When he doesn't, well, he's trying to get you all out, trying to get everybody out with the fastball only. He's got a good one, 95 to 97.
Down the left field line, and that will get into the first row, right over the tarp.
Urena, 5.22 career ERA against the Philadelphia Phillies, 4.91 this season. He's made 2 starts against him. This is his 3rd here in 2018.
And that's past the dive of Justin Bourne into right field. So Cesar Hernandez leads off the first inning, snaps an 0 for 16 to get on base here in the first.
Well, step and a dive from the big guy, but Hernandez able to break out of the slump that you mentioned, Paul. Pretty good swing right there, 1 hopper. Phillies off and running. First batter of the ball game.
So now it's Rhys Hoskins. He's 4 for 7 with a home run, 2 RBIs in this series. 22 home runs on the year. See that extended flap coming off the ear flap of the helmet because he broke his jaw. And when he came back in June, I mentioned it before, he's got 44 RBIs since June 9th. He's currently on a 20-game on-base streak, which is a new career high. StatCast AI, powered by AWS, shows the distribution of balls in play on the ground on the infield off the bat of Rhys Hoskins. That's why the Marlins have 3 men on the left side of the infield. There is a called strike. Home plate umpire tonight is Sean Barber. Larry Vanover, the crew chief, is at first. David Rackley at second, and Hunter Wendelstedt is over at third.
Well, Hoskins riding a 4-game hitting streak, 7 for his last 15. See the slider for Urena. He needs to be ultra careful here. Now, listen, we know that Urena is fearless. He loves to pitch in and out to just about anybody, to everybody in anybody's lineup. But Hoskins is in a spot right now where you cannot miss middle in, or he's going to make you pay.
Urena has backed himself into a hitter's count against Hoskins. 3 balls and a strike. And that one just off the edge. Phillies have 2 on here in the first.
Let's get you the Marlins defensively for this evening's ball game. Galloway making his first major league start. 947 minor league games. My oh my, it's a special day. Sierra in center, Anderson in right, Rojas, Riddle, Castro in board, JT Realmuto behind the plate. Urena on the mound.
So Urena issues the walk to Hoskins, sets up 2 on for Nick Williams. He had 4 walks last time out against the Washington Nationals. 3rd time this year that he's issued as many as 4 walks. I guess the problem would be it was the 2nd time in 3 starts. Nick Williams cuts and misses at 95. 0-1. Williams 3 for 7 in the series with an RBI. He's 2 for 4 last night. The Phillies are 14-2 in games in which he gets multiple hits. Of course, the night prior was also up crucial spot in the 9th inning when the Phillies won the opener of this series.
Now lefty's hitting .264 against Urania with 8 home runs on the season. The righty's .243. He's done a much better job, although he's had sometimes an issue with runners in scoring position. .294. You see Hernandez at second base.
Williams will drive out to left center field. Galloway is back, and that is a 3-run home run for Nick Williams.
Nick Williams moved up to the 3 spot in the lineup. Did have a home run against Urania coming into tonight's ball game. Now has 2. Jumped all over a fastball up and away. Check that. That's more right down the middle of the plate. See JT kind of reaching back for that. That was supposed to be on the corner. You can clearly tell what Williams was thinking. He was thinking left center. Phillies up 3-0.
And now Santana with a line drive into left field. A single, a walk, a home run, and a single against Urania here in the first. Well, for the first time in what seems like a week or so, the Marlins not dealing with any weather. 86 degrees, a little bit of a breeze. Very nice night here in Philadelphia. Here is Asdrubal Cabrera, brought over by the Phillies about a week or so ago from the New York Mets. Has yet to truly find his stroke with the Phils, however. Waves and misses. It's 0-1. 3 for 23, 7 strikeouts, and no RBIs yet with the Phillies.
Sometimes those first impressions are hard to create. You love to go over to a new team. Speaking from experience, I changed uniforms a number of times in the middle of the season. And you always love to say, all right, I'm going to bring the hot bat that I was swinging from one team to the new team. Well, for Cabrera, as I certainly could admit to in my own career, yeah, sometimes not always easy to do. Well, they've seen enough of them. Tell you what, one thing that stands out, and I think they're really banking on him.
JT couldn't find it, still can't find it, may have it now at the last moment, in and out of his glove. He looked straight up, and I don't think he immediately saw it. By the time he got it, couldn't quite position himself to make the catch.
Yeah, it's this time of night where the backdrop, the high sky is white, and the ball disappears. Again, that's what causes him to, well, we call it a panic, and essentially gets himself into position, but that ball's kind of coming back towards the field. It was certainly not an easy play, but a ball that Marlins need to have caught.
So it'll be an E2 to extend the at-bat for Cabrera. He takes outside, a ball and 2 strikes.
You mentioned the struggles that he's having getting back to Cabrera. He's had great numbers throughout his career at Citizens Bank Park. Career .371 hitter here in 26 games. And the Phillies expecting him to get hot at some point.
I remember the early part of the year when we had seen the Mets early on. I mean, he was carrying that offense early on. He was absolutely rolling. He's cooled off a little bit as of late as he settles into his new club and a new role too. He's playing second base for the Mets. He's been playing some shortstop. He's at shortstop tonight for the second time in 3 games in this series. Certainly a position he knows well. Over 1,000 games at shortstop during his 12-year career. Waved at and missed, and that is the first strikeout of the night for Urania and the first out here in the first.
Yeah, good changeup. Got it down in the zone, that right corner off the outside edge. Well done. It's a big out.
That'll bring up Maikel Franco. 2 for 8 in the series, but one of those two, a walk-off home run on Thursday night, his 18th homer of the season.
What certainly stands out this year for Maikel Franco against the Marlins, 18 RBIs in 11 ball games.
Now, I assume at one point in time in your career, and I'm sure many times, you'd face a divisional opponent and get hot against them.
Sure.
If you get hot against them in April, can that carry over through the whole year?
Absolutely can. You have knowledge of the team, you know what they've got. Sometimes you match up well. Certainly can. He has a knack for doing it. 35% of his run production, RBIs, come against the Marlins.
This one popped up behind home plate. Real Muto sees it this time and will make the play. Yeah, it is a weird time of night. The lights are on, but the only clouds that we can see are off in the distance, and even then there aren't many. So that ball gets up there with the catcher with the mask and picking it up off the bat. A little different perspective than the outfielders, for instance.
Well, and this is a tougher sky than you think. Okay, well, wait, what about a 1 o'clock start time with the bright blue sky? And you say, well, guys lose the ball. Well, a lot of times it's the sun that you're dealing with and the bright when you look up. That's not the case now. It's actually the white, almost like losing the ball in the old Metrodome. That white roof was nightmares for everybody. Well, this sky right now can similarly do that to you. It's just got a little tint of blue in it.
Andrew Knapp fouls it back to the screen. 0-1. Well, in a sense, the error on Real Muto, no harm, no foul, as later in the at-bat Cabrera struck out. Knapp in there behind the plate tonight. It had been Jorge Alfaro the first two nights. Knapp currently riding an 0 for 11 skid. Of course, Knapp and Alfaro will have the competition of Wilson Ramos, who has been with the team around the clubhouse in the cage. Traded over from the Tampa Bay Rays at the deadline and working his way back from an injury. Figures that he'll be back at some point mid to late August, perhaps. Definitely by August 1st, according to him, or September 1st, rather, according to Ramos. Two balls and a strike to Knapp.
Another good changeup from Urania down. Be a big pitch for him tonight. Uses it a little bit, not a ton, only about 19% of the time.
Closing in on a 30-pitch first inning for Urania. And a base hit up the middle by Knapp. So not only did Hernandez snap an 0 for 16, but now Knapp snaps an 0 for 11. 2 on and 2 out.
Well, let's take another look. Well, when Urania has missed, he's missed up in the zone and more towards the middle of the plate. Let's see where this fastball ends up. Yeah, you see him reaching back and up. Knapp all over it. He's got to find a way to get that fastball down. This Phillies team is on it tonight.
Zach Eflin out of the 8-hole, chops it to third, and that'll do it for the Phillies in the first inning. They send 8 men to the plate, score 3 runs thanks to a Nick Williams home run. Jessica Blaylock, who are you wearing tonight?
Well, I am wearing the special jersey that's going to be given away a week from Saturday at Marlins Park for that Dominican Heritage celebration. Now, after the Marlins wrap up this road trip, they're going to head back home to South Florida for a nice 6-game homestand, and there's a lot of really cool theme nights coming up. You can go to marlins.com to learn all about the upcoming events. You can also go to marlins.com/themes to purchase your special ticket package to be able to take home this awesome jersey. Now, there were a couple of Marlins players modeling them today in the clubhouse, and they all loved it. I think it looks good.
Looks fantastic. You could pull anything off, Jessica. Is that
I was going to say, what don't
work?
I look good in,
Naturally,
Paul?
there
What
you
don't
go.
I look
Absolutely.
good in?
I thought I was the one with the big head in this broadcast team, but
nope, right here.
Okay, fair enough. Say hello to your dogs for me. As we go to the top of the second inning, it is a 3-0 deficit for the Marlins. They'll have Justin Bour, Starlin Castro, and Miguel Rojas against Zach Eflin, who now has a cushion early. Up and out of the zone to JB, who is in a little bit of a slump right now. He's 1 for 21, does have a home run. Hit one the other night. And he was putting some into orbit today during batting practice.
Yeah, his teammates were getting some big smiles watching him, myself included. It was a bit like, it was kind of like a fireworks show.
I mean, halfway up the second deck, which has got to be, it's 330. Estimate that's would be about 450, 470. Three balls and a strike. This one right back over our heads, and the count runs full. Bour this year against the Phillies is 7 for 32, a couple of home runs, 5 RBIs. Does have a home run in his career against Eflin as he sends this one out to left field. Making a bid for another, but at the base of the wall, Rhys Hoskins makes the catch. And that little wry smile makes you think he knows he just missed one.
Well, he certainly does. And lefty, sometimes when you stay inside a sinker, it gets that little bit of a tail on it. That ball had it. Unfortunately, it just starts to die a little bit out toward the track. Off the bat, we all thought it had a chance.
Here's Starlin Castro. 8 homers on the year, 40 RBIs. 1 for 4 last night. And takes a called strike. I mentioned the numbers before for Eflin, that over the course of his last 9 starts, he's got a 3.20 ERA. But again, if you break things down, the first 6 of those 9, he was 6-0 with a 191 earned run average. Last 3 has not been as effective. 0-1 with a 6.92 ERA. So will the real Zach Eflin please stand up if you're the Phillies? Of course, the Marlins trying to keep him where he's at right now. A little bit of a rut. Castro hold up. He did not. And that's the second strikeout of the night for Eflin. 2 away here in the second. Marlins fans, Fox Sports Florida and Southwest Airlines are giving you an opportunity to enter for a chance to win an all-inclusive stay in Nassau in the Bahamas on Labor Day weekend for the Southwest Airlines Summer Days Getaway. Just tweet hashtag Southwest Summer Days Sweeps and hashtag sponsored to @FoxSportsFL for your chance to win. Here's Miguel Rojas. Miggy with a knock in 4 trips last night. Takes the ball outside, 2-0. Go back to June 15th for Miguel Rojas, hitting .319. 5 doubles, 14 home runs over the course of those 39 games.
Well, so far we've seen from Eflin the ability to go up in the zone late. It's kind of what he's done on both of his strikeouts. He's picked up some strikeouts, 95-mile-an-hour fastballs above the strike zone. See the sinker down, the fastball up. Has not used his secondary pitches too much yet.
Outside, 3-1.
Lefty's much better numbers than the righties. Lefty's 271 with 7 of the 10 home runs he's allowed. Righty's hitting 226.
Left side, a diving play by Franco, and he makes the play for the second time in this series. A lunging grab to his left to spin and get the runner at first base. My, oh my, Maikel Franco. 3-0. Gillick and the late Roy Halladay honored prior to the ball game today. Of course, also honoring the 2008 World Series championship team, the 10-year anniversary of that World Series club, as Jose Urena delivers a strike to Roman Quinn. 9-1-2 for the Phils here in the second. After Quinn, Cesar Hernandez and Rhys Hoskins. 0-2 to the center fielder.
What do you say? I don't know, 33, 35,000 here tonight.
Yeah,
at
pretty
Citizens
close.
Bank Ballpark. How many people were here at about 6 o'clock?
Lots.
About 33, 35,000.
Yeah, right.
I don't think there was an empty seat in the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, this was a franchise that had gone 28 years in between World Series championships. I know that there are Red Sox and Cubs fans saying yes, so White Sox fans too, as Quinn sends one out to center field. But certainly a very passionate sports city. You know, the Phillies winning in 2008, won another pennant in 2009. The Eagles, of course, currently Super Bowl champions. They are passionate about their sports here in Philadelphia. And in fact, all the sports and all the fans come together quite literally, because the football
Stadiums are like 5 feet
the
from each
baseball,
other.
yeah, the basketball and hockey arena is all in the same parking lot.
It's always been that way here in Philly.
Top of the lineup for Hernandez, who had a base hit his first time up. Backhanded by Castro. 2 away in the second.
Hey Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Urania looking for a bounce back second inning after the first 4 Phillies reached in the first. Back to back, or in fact a hit and then a walk prior to the home run for Nick Williams. Hoskins with the walk has now been on base in 21 consecutive games. 2-0 to the Phillies left fielder. Rainey gets the sign and delivers to Hoskins, and that one inside. And a little glare from Hoskins.
Well, certainly know Urania has to establish the fastball to both sides of the plate. It will definitely keep you on your toes, won't it?
It will. Nothing comes boring in on you. Absolutely.
I think it's fair to say anything over the white, inner third, Hoskins has been all over for about the last 3 weeks.
He takes inside, and you could tell Hoskins doesn't seem to be too pleased. He'll take the walk, but like we mentioned before, Hoskins, not that that was anywhere near his head or anything, but missed a few weeks with a broken jaw earlier this season. He has walked twice. And here's Williams, who sent a 3-run home run the opposite way back in the first inning. He takes inside. The last time out for Urania, again, the 1 hit over 6 innings against the Nationals. His 4 previous starts, which had all been off the disabled list, he was 0-1 with a 5.78 ERA. And there were some thoughts around that maybe he wasn't 100%. Don Mattingly said, you know, this is after the last start, that the last few times out there looked like he might have been protecting something, but once we found out that he was 100%, we just wanted him to be aggressive. Tonight, though, he's had a tough time finding the zone consistently. 42 pitches with 2 outs in the second.
Well, and again, Urania's not the guy that's going to lead with the secondary pitches, and the idea that he can kind of switch gears and go in a different direction can be difficult for him to do.
That's to Riddle up the middle to get Williams. That's how the second inning ends. 3-0. Phillies in front. Then Isaac Galloway and Jose Urania against Zach Eflin. Riddle squares to bunt and takes strike one. Riddle 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter last night. Looking for his first hit this year against the Phillies. Here is Franco for out number 1. Well, that's something of a routine play, but my oh my, have we seen Franco with the defense in this series. Tomorrow we will see Dan Straley. Found that out today. Officially it'll be Straley staying on regular rest thanks to the rainout. What that does is it moves Wei-Yin Chen, who had been scheduled to pitch tomorrow, to Monday at home. For the Phillies, they'll counter with Aaron Nola. Marlins live on the air at 1 o'clock. First pitch a little after 1:30 here in Philadelphia. Isaac Galloway out to center field, and Roman Quinn is there. Galloway, his first big league start, flies out. And here is Jose Urania. Well, Urania helped himself with an RBI single in his last start against the Nationals. Gave the Marlins a 1-0 lead. Trying to mount a 2-out rally here in the third inning, down 3-0. And quickly 0-2 from Eflin. One back to the screen. Urania late to run. Corralled by Knapp and throws to first to complete the strikeout. 7 pitches, all strikes in the third for Eflin. Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Last night, Jupiter, it was Sandy Alcantara, a rehab start against West Palm Beach. 84 pitches, 51 for strikes. Working his way back from that infection in his arm. Still no official word as to when we will see him again, but you got to figure 84 pitches, he'll be close.
Absolutely.
Maybe one more, we'll see, but certainly excited to get him back at some point.
Absolutely. I think in the second half here, I don't want to say we're necessarily running out of games, but the clock certainly is ticking. You want to see him get a few starts here at the major league level.
We play on here at Citizens Bank Park. It is Carlos Santana to lead things off. A base hit in the first inning against Urania, and then Asdrubal Cabrera and Maikel Franco. There's a called strike. Urania, of course, gave up the 3-run home run to Nick Williams in the first inning, settled down a bit, worked around a 2-out walk to Hoskins in the second. It's all about consistency. 3 runs, certainly not insurmountable, especially against a guy like Eflin, who has not necessarily been on his game the last few times out.
Now, one thing that Jose Urania has pitched without this season, for the most part, is run support. Only 2.96 runs per 9 innings in his starts. That's 3rd lowest in Major League Baseball. He's about at the threshold, even if you're just playing the numbers. And his idea here, keep things close, keep this Phillies offense in check. We talk an awful lot, we've already seen it tonight, how the Phillies operate. Lots of home runs here at Citizens Bank Ballpark. They have a harder time kind of stringing innings together that don't include the home run.
A hot shot past Starlin Castro and into right field for Santana, who has 2 hits in the ball game.
Stu Hopper hit hard into the hole. Accepted by Starlin Castro as he tries to keep it on the infield. Santana now 2 hits tonight, 1 to left, 1 to right. First 2 pitches in that sequence, good ones from Urania, but again another mistake out over the plate.
Well, Santana, a bat that the Phillies certainly want to get going. Get 2 hits tonight. 6 for 42 against the Marlins coming into this ball game. Batting average of just .219 prior to that hit, so right around the .220 mark. Cabrera up at .268 despite the strikeout back in the first inning. So make that 8 strikeouts and 24 at-bats since joining the Phillies. The pull hitter when it comes to balls on the ground in the infield. Big hole there on the left side of the infield. Rojas playing pretty close to a traditional third base. Riddle swung around to the other side of second. And now with 2 strikes, Rojas plays up the middle, and Riddle, traditional shortstop. The 1-2 to Cabrera. Driven out to right field. That one's going to get out in a hurry. A line drive home run for Cabrera. His first RBIs with the Phillies, and it's 5-0.
One thing Cabrera has really been struggling with since coming over to the Phillies, high velocity and fastball. In fact, he was struggling with Urania's fastball even that first time through. This is the changeup, but again, splits the middle of the plate. Watch JT's glove reaching back. He was looking for that fastball on the outside corner. Excuse me, changeup on that outside corner. Ends up right down the middle of the plate. 2-strike home run.
Now Maikel Franco takes a called strike. Rainey's given up 2 home runs this year. That's 14 on the season. This one, a ground ball to Riddle at short. Gave up 26 home runs last season. Highest home run per 9 rate in his career, of course, as made his Marlins debut in 2015. The Phillies get to him for 2 long balls here in the first 3 innings.
Yeah, again, that's how they do business. I told you a lot of the numbers here at the beginning of the series. Coming in 27th in Major League Baseball in home batting average, yet second in the National League in home runs. That's what they do. They'll take a walk as well. Yeah, most definitely a 3 true outcome offense.
And Knapp with his second hit of the evening into left center field. Seven hits against Urania tonight. Coming into this ball game as Zach Eflin digs in. Urania in his career against the Phillies, 1-3 with a 5.55 ERA. Has not fared well at this ballpark as they crash on the corners. Bohr fields, thought about second, but will take the out at first. Career 7.82 ERA at Citizens Bank Park, if I didn't complete my thought. Runner at second, 2 outs for Roman Quinn. Quinn with a fly ball out to Sierra, leading off the second.
Quinn serving as that second leadoff hitter out of the 9 spot tonight. A 2-run double last night.
Urania has thrown 61 pitches, 33 strikes, 28 outside the zone. 2 walks, both to Hoskins. 3-1.
Yeah, we talk about this an awful lot, you know, and the idea being fastball command, and you've seen it tonight. When the fastball has missed, he's missed down the middle of the plate. And that's kind of to his personality. We've talked about this before.
Chop to Castro, and he gets Quinn by a step, who can fly down the line. 2 more runs in on the Cabrera home run.
Series hosting Woodwood and Midtown Day at Marlins Park Sunday, August 12th. We started just $12 for all residents, Woodwood and Midtown. For more information, visit marlins.com/Woodwood.
Back here in Philadelphia. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Jessica Blaylock. A 5-0 deficit for the Marlins as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Top of the order due up as the Marlins look for their first base runner tonight against Zach Eflin. 9 up, 9 down, first time through. Magnaori's Sierra. And then Brian Anderson and JT Realmuto. Well, last night, Velasquez sent down the first 10 Marlins in order. Sierra bunts through that one. 0-1.
Well, first pitch curveball. I thought there might be a clear-cut advantage against Eflin tonight. Leadoff hitters leading off an inning, hitting .329 against Eflin. So he's had some issues keeping that leadoff guy off base. For the Marlins, they have not been able to get anybody on first time through. Much less a leadoff hitter.
Well, in the leadoff spot tonight, nobody's saying that he's going to be there the rest of his career, but you just look at the way that the game of Sierra kind of profiles, and you might think, well, the way that he bunts with the speed. Left field line for Hoskins. Doesn't have a play. Nice catch in the first row. You think maybe down the line, perhaps Sierra could find himself at the top of the order?
Yeah, it'll take some time, but I mean, I certainly could see it. Handles the bat pretty well. Have to, work on that plate discipline a little bit more from the leadoff spot. He definitely likes to swing the bat.
Right back up the middle off of Eflin, who recovers in time to get Sierra.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Well, Eflin seems to be okay after taking the comebacker off the bat of Sierra. Now it'll be Brian Anderson, who grounded back to Eflin in the first inning. Anderson entering play, tied for 6th in the National League in hits. Certainly we get to this point of the season, the trade deadline has come and gone, and now the chapters of a big league season turn the attention toward the awards and who's well placed for a Cy Young, an MVP, a Rookie of the Year. On a hop to Cabrera, and there are 2 down. Well, that ground out notwithstanding, of course, these last 2 months are going to be crucial for Brian Anderson, who, along with the likes of Acuna Jr. in Atlanta and Juan Soto in Washington, D.C., going to be in the mix for that Rookie of the Year. Two out for JT Realmuto. Strikeout in the first inning. One of 3 strikeouts tonight for Eflin. Eflin stands tall, 6'6", 215 pounds. To Cabrera. 12 up and 12 down for Eflin. An 8-pitch 4th, 5-0.
As we head to the bottom of the fourth, well, we always talk about the talented players in the Marlins minor league system. Let's add Dylan Lee to that list. Dylan was recently named the reliever of the month thanks to a spectacular July. He had 3 saves, 10 scoreless innings, 13 strikeouts compared to 1 walk, and he was pitching so well in Jacksonville that he was recently promoted to Triple-A New Orleans. So congratulations to Dylan Lee on those accomplishments, guys.
Yeah, we second that, exactly. Jessica, thanks so much. There's Jose Urena back to the mound in the 4th inning. He'll face the top of the Phillies lineup, Cesar Hernandez, Rhys Hoskins, and Nick Williams. A called strike to Hernandez. Couple of home runs allowed tonight by Urena. A 3-run home run by Williams in the first, a 2-run shot by Cabrera in the 3rd. Speaking of home runs and extra base hits, the Phillies have now had an extra base hit in 106 consecutive games as they are chasing down their franchise record. They had 129 straight games with an extra base hit spanning the 1929-1930 season. This kind of gets back to where this team's identity is, at least in terms of their offense. I mean, when he's clicking, as Hernandez strikes out for the second strikeout for Urena tonight. You got a guy like Hoskins and Santana, and those guys, certainly some pop in this lineup. Time for the Toyota Inside Look. Speaking of pop, the Marlins have been front row seats for Rhys Hoskins. 26 RBIs against one team, the Marlins, since his debut August 22nd. Only Yadier Molina against the Reds, and Chris Davis with more. Chris Davis owning the Rangers in that span of time.
I think what's impressive last night was Rhys Hoskins' 150th game as a Philadelphia Philly. He's got a 938 career OPS. That is second highest, going all the way back to 1900. So, on a day where we were watching the World Series champs from '08 walk out on the field, we saw all of the Wall of Fame members here. Some great names: Michael Jack Schmidt and the likes. Rhys Hoskins standing tall through 150 games.
There's a play on the line by Rojas. A long throw to get Hoskins for the second out. That gets by Rojas. That's easily 2 bases down the line for Hoskins. Instead, it is the Bonefish Grill fresh catch of the night.
Yeah, nice job by Rojas. 2 hops down the line, hit hard. Hoskins a little out in front of a slider, hooks it just a bit. Well behind third base bag. I think we're as impressed with the throw as the backhand. Not an easy play.
Here's Williams. Dribbled out in front of the mound. It'll be Urena getting rid of it and getting Williams. Well, a 1, 2, 3, 4th inning on 8 pitches for Urena. But the Marlins down 5-0. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. The Cleveland Clinic, stiff joints, aches and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by Staples, the back-to-school specialty store. Nice night here in Philadelphia as the Marlins come to the plate, and Justin Bohr sends one deep out to center field and gone into the bushes in dead center for Bohr.
Yes, sirree. Big man got into that one, didn't he?
We were talking earlier about how he was putting him into orbit during batting practice, and did he ever right there.
Sometimes you can get a vibe in BP, and I'll tell you, if JB didn't get a vibe in BP, he never will. That was an impressive batting practice, and I'll tell you what, that swing right there looked like batting practice. First pitch fastball, a little sinking action. That splits the plate, but gets to where he can get those arms extended, and my, oh my. This nearly hit the ivy wall in center field. Yeah, that's right. That's behind the 401-foot wall. Yeah, he does that every now and again. I kind of mentioned it to you the other night. You know, when he hits a home run, holy cow, huh?
And Castro base hit through the right side. How about that? Back-to-back hits after the Marlins set down in order through the first 4 innings. 2 sharply hit balls against Eflin here in the 5th. Coming up tomorrow afternoon, Marlins Live pregame show presented by South Florida Honda Dealers, on the air at 1 o'clock. First pitch little after 1:30. Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, and Gabby Sanchez in the studio. Dan Straley on his regular rest up against Aaron Nola. Of course, the rainout Wednesday night in Atlanta bumped Pablo Lopez back. But everybody able to stay on task afterwards. So it's Wei In Chen, and we have certainly once, twice, for 1,000 times talked about his road woes. Will be moved to Monday at home against the St. Louis Cardinals. Chop to short. Cabrera with the flip. Hernandez to first. And it's a double play.
Well, Eflin able to get that sinker down in the zone and get the ground ball he was looking for. In fact, coming into this 5th inning, it already recorded 6 ground ball outs.
Here's JT Riddle with 2 outs in the 5th. And Harlan Garcia begins to loosen. Little low. 1-1. Riddle a ground out to Franco over at third. His first trip to the plate back in the 3rd inning. Would you care to venture a guess on the home run distance for Justin Bohr?
I will go with.
You saw where that landed.
428.
I would have said somewhere in that range. Must have broken the machine. It says 413.
Yeah, that's where the machine is. Right there. Hit it.
Just nail the machine. The machine's in the bushes.
Yeah, certainly a no doubter.
Yeah. 107 off the bat. Estimated distance of 413. Either way, a home run.
Well, every now and again, you know, on the road, when a Marlin hits a home run that is kind of that distance, you know, the crowd goes, oh, you know, before the ball leaves the yard. Yeah. That happened on the Bohr home run.
And Riddle comes up empty. We move to the bottom of the 5th inning. Justin Bohr with the first hit and a long one to center field, a home run, 5-1. The home run for Justin Bohr, connecting on his 18th of the season. When you combine the most provocative man in sports with the most interesting man in sports, you get opinion that cuts through the hype. Catch Speak for Yourself with Colin Cowherd and Jason Whitlock weekdays at 5 Eastern only on FS1. Carlos Santana to lead things off, then as Drupal Cabrera and Maikel Franco here in the bottom of the 5th. 6 runs on the board, 3 home runs here at Citizens Bank Park. Kidd. Have to adjust those numbers. Home run for Santana. His 3rd hit of the night, and it's now 6-1.
A number of these Philadelphia Phillies have put up some big numbers against the Marlins this season. Santana not one of them coming into tonight. 6 for 42. I'll tell you what, he's starting to change those numbers around, as you mentioned. Now 3 for 3 against Urania, including this 2-0 home run. My goodness, we've seen that JT Realmuto catcher's glove lean back towards the middle of the plate a number of times tonight.
Cabrera down the left field line. That one falls foul. One more look at the home run off the bat of Santana.
Well, Santana certainly has some power, and you've seen it tonight. I mean, these guys are getting themselves into hitters' counts. We talked about that fastball command, even the idea being that he's going to come out of his shoes on a 2-0 fastball and not get cheated. He did just that.
Sometimes when we see Urania a little erratic, and you talk about it a lot, it's that arm side run.
Right.
Today, it's moving toward the lefties.
Well, and again, I was kind of getting into it a couple innings ago. You see the middle of the lineup, 3, 4, and 5 all have home runs against Urania. What at times he can, allow to happen, as I said, very rarely pitches backwards. So, what am I kind of getting at here? Okay, we know that the fastball has to lead the way. His last start, his fastball command was absolutely fantastic. And he was putting the ball where he wanted to, and it allowed his changeup and slider to play. But Urania is also the type. He doesn't come out and typically throw a first pitch changeup or a first pitch slider. If he falls behind and he starts to miss, he leans on his fastball at times to get him out of trouble. And that's what you're seeing tonight. Where most, and we've talked about this in a positive way, he hasn't walked a whole lot of guys this year. meaning, a lot of times he's willing to challenge hitters to both sides of the plate. But tonight, the mistakes have all been back to the middle, meaning that arm side run is not getting there. It's not actually running to JT's glove. It's almost straightening out.
And now Cabrera to left field. Galloway on the track will make the play for the first out. Time for This Day in Major League History, presented by Geico. Tom Seaver, his 300th win, August 4th, 1985. And also Rod Carew, 3,000th hit. On the same day, August 4th, 1985. A late time call by Michael Franco. Seaver went in the Hall of Fame in 1992. And Carew into the Hall of Fame in 1991. Popped up right side, foul territory. It is Real Muto for out number 2. We were talking before the game today. We had a lengthy conversation with Jason Stark, who works for MLB Network, writes for The Athletic, terrific baseball writer. Wondering if we'll ever see a 300-game winner like Tom Seaver again.
Hard to believe it will happen. I even threw it out will we see a 200-game winner? The way the starting pitching is managed. Now, in a lot of ways, we've talked Urania and how he's at times turned the curve and has improved this season. When you look at his ERA, things generally tell you that it's been more about consistency than probably improvement. April, a 4.03 ERA, May 3.96, June 4.38, July 4.38.
Ball and a strike to Andrew Knapp, who has a couple of hits tonight. By the way, to answer your question, if we'll ever see a 200-game winner again, I'm going to go with Justin Verlander, who's currently at 199.
Well,
I like his chance. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Guys
starting,
without those Hall of Fame.
Starting now.
Starting now. Okay.
That's where I'm going.
Without those Hall of Fame resumes already.
Right. We were also speaking in terms of the Max Scherzer types, and Verlander is his own type, but again in the same conversation, the guys that are going 7+ innings, and we were talking about Holiday today. Finishers, guys who are like, give me the ball, it's my day, I'm going to go out and do that. It's just a different game. That's, I think, what we all admit to each other.
Knapp swings and misses, but the Phillies get one more on the home run by Carlos Santana. We'll see Isaac Galloway lead off in the 6th. Very cheesy. Come on now. Come on, Craig. I appreciate that. You don't have to soften the blow there. I could get cheesy with the best of them.
What happened?
He said the not so cheesy Paul Severino, but I disagree. I could be very bad.
Yeah, you definitely should have disagreed.
Very bad dad jokes sometimes. Galloway lays down the bunt. Eflin to it quick, gets rid of it, and gets Galloway by a step to start the sixth. So one quick out for Eflin, who has worked very quickly tonight. One out in the sixth inning. He's at 52 pitches. And Yadiel Rivera will come in to pinch hit for Jose Urena, who was done tonight after 5 innings of work. As Harlan Garcia loosens in the Marlins bullpen.
Well, Rivera 6 for 25 as a pinch hitter this year. He also has 4 walks.
He's got a hit in 6 of his last 10 road games with a plate appearance. And this one sent to center field for Roman Quinn.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
Back to the top of the order for Magneuris Sierra. 0 for 2 tonight. Takes a called strike. Right back to the screen quickly. 0 and 2. You want efficient? How about that? 10 pitches in the first, 7 in the third, 8 in the fourth. He's got 2 outs and an 0-2 count. This is his 6th pitch of this inning. It's upstairs to Sierra.
Well, he too at times suffers from what Urena does. I mean, it really comes down to what he's been able to do tonight, which is stay out of the middle of the plate. I mean, he's very aggressive with his fastball. We talked about that at the beginning of the ball game. Job by Sierra fouling off that backdoor breaking ball. You know, the idea is that if you can force him back to the middle, it also explains why he would get into that, you know, area like last 5 games. He's given up a home run. He gives up a long home run to Bohr. Where was that pitch? It was a sinker up, more towards the middle of the plate early in the count.
Swung on and missed. Another single-digit pitch inning. 8 in the 6th inning for Eflin. He's got a 5-run lead. Todd Hollinsworth and Jessica Blaylock. Harlan Garcia in after 5 innings of work from Jose Urena. This is his 13th game of the season. He's come out of the pen. He started some games. He's been sent down. He's been called back up. And now we get another look here at the lefty.
Well, it's good to see Harlan back up with the big club. Remember the story. First time, he was outstanding. Moved into the rotation, was throwing the ball so well, was catching, well, catching us all, catching the nation, certainly the baseball world by storm. A number of times he was shutting out the opponent, and then got into a little bit of a bad spot. Fastball command started to leave him, started leaving pitches out over the plate, started getting hit hard. Good to have him back, good to see him back. Good opportunity tonight to settle back in.
Strike to Zach Eflin. 8-9-1 for the Phillies here in the 6th inning. Eflin, Roman Quinn, and Cesar Hernandez. Into the seats over the Phillies dugout. 0-2.
If you remember back to the beginning of the year for Garcia, he made 2 relief appearances, including 6 no-hit innings against the Cubs opening series. That period in time. Nice changeup outside corner, strikeout number 1 tonight for Garcia. They moved him into the rotation almost immediately, and I think maybe the idea was that he was going to pitch out of the bullpen for a little bit, go down and start, and then come back up. But after those 6 innings, moved him right into the rotation on April 11th, and he made 6 starts. He went 1-1 with a 3.55 ERA.
But it really was those first 4 starts that captivated, as you said,
Sure.
captivated a nation. As the 1-0 to Roman Quinn is in there for a called strike.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but I mean, it was something to the effect of what, 2 hits in like 30 innings? 2 hits in 25 innings?
Well, that was the thing. So he had the 6 no-hit innings in a start against the Mets, and that was it had matched a season career high in innings. The most pitches he'd thrown in an outing. That's why he was lifted after 6 hitless innings. 1 hit over 5 innings against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. And how's that offense looking this year? That one past Riddle. And Roman Quinn's got himself a 1-out base hit here in the 6th. Then against the Dodgers, gave up 4 hits in 6 innings. These Phillies on May 1st, 5 hits in 6 innings, but 1 run. So over the course of those 4 starts, he had an 0.78 ERA, and he went into his start against the Cubs at Wrigley Field with definitely the National League, if not all of baseball, the lowest ERA at the time. It was 109.
Right.
And then that's where things kind of started to unravel a little bit. It was against the Cubs that he gave up 3 home runs, 7 runs in 4 innings.
Well, it was his corner command that left. It wasn't that only he was giving up hits, he was giving up extra base hits. Home runs started to leave the yard. Doubles were finding walls and lines, and he was kind of, I would almost say, almost getting ambushed in a lot of his starts. He wasn't making it very far. Marlins sent him down with the hopes of getting him right.
His first outing in the big leagues tonight since June 1st against the Diamondbacks. This is upstairs to Cesar Hernandez, a ball and a strike. And Garcia pitched in 9 games with AAA New Orleans. 46 2/3 innings. All 9 of those games starts, by the way, as Hernandez does hold up 2-1. So we'll see. Hopefully he's made some adjustments and can get back to close to where he was as Quinn goes. Throw off the mark. And it's a stolen base.
Well, first stolen base for Quinn this season. 6th in his career.
Home plate umpire Sean Barber talking with Don Mattingly about where Hernandez was, whether or not he was in the way of JT Realmuto.
take another look. This fastball in. Hernandez really just kind of held his ground in the box. Obviously, the throw pulls Castro off second base. Quinn stole the base on Garcia. He got a good 3-4 steps before Garcia had even released the ball.
Chop wide of the third base bag, 3-2. Payoff pitch on the way. In the air, left field. And Cesar Hernandez has gone deep. A 2-run home run. It's now 8-1 Philadelphia.
Ninth home run of the season for Hernandez. Fourth home run tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies. All of their runs the byproduct of the long ball. No doubter. Hernandez comes out of the box knowing he got all that one. Fastball in and up. The home run is back.
So he matches a career high with 9 home runs this season. Opens up a 7-run lead against Garcia and the Marlins here in the 6th. And now Hoskins pops it up toward the on-deck circle. JT has a play.
Yeah, got it.
Phillies with 4 home runs tonight. The guy who hit the first one, Nick Williams, steps in. He takes low and away. Williams tonight 1 for 3. In fact, over the course of his last 42 games coming into this one, he's hitting .308 with 7 homers and 23 RBIs. Well, there have been a few different Phillies that when we were here in April, there was some questions. Certainly Maikel Franco. Well, yeah, free agents coming up. Maybe a Machado or a Donaldson. He lost his job for a little while. Nick Williams was battling for playing time. Both Franco and Williams have taken the everyday jobs and run with them here for the Phillies. Just outside, 2-2.
Well, certainly commendable on both of their parts. I mean, I think back to series here in Philadelphia in early April, and both Williams was for the most part relegated to the bench.
As he is right here on a called strike 3 to end the 6th, with 2 more on the board for the Phils.
to enter for a chance to win an all-inclusive stay in Nassau in the Bahamas on Labor Day weekend for the Southwest Airlines Summer Days Getaway. Just tweet hashtag Southwest Summer Days Sweeps and hashtag sponsored at Fox Sports FL for your chance to win.
Top of the 7th we go here at Citizens Bank Park. Paul Severino, Todd Hollingsworth, and Jessica Blaylock. 60th pitch of the night. Misses inside to Brian Anderson, who leads things off for the Marlins. Anderson, Realmuto, and Justin Bour. Yeah, that's right. 60 pitches. 1 pitch into the 7th. Eflin has been locked in.
Well, he's been getting a lot of swings on his sinker. 93, 94 miles an hour. He's been able to keep it down, and in a lot of times he'll throw it down the middle of the plate. Again, we talked about this just last inning, and with Urania struggling tonight. Really, the big difference is that his ball possesses where Urania's has a little bit more run. Eflin has a little bit more action down in the zone, and you've seen a number of ground balls tonight.
Anderson 0 for 2 tonight. Now 3 balls and a strike. Mentioned earlier that Anderson had 2 hits last night, including a double. He is the first Marlins rookie with 25 doubles in a season since some guy named Gabby Sanchez. Back in 2010, our buddy Gabby had 37. Anderson down the right field line, slicing into the seats, foul.
Gabby had what, 37?
37 2-base hits in 2010 as a rookie.
Oh boy, Gabby. Getting it done.
Not a day goes by that he lets us forget about it. Texts every 15 minutes. No,
well, the only time he texts me is to complain about you.
That is true. And he does text you every 10 minutes.
No, he does not.
Up the middle, Cabrera spins and throws. 1 away. We check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Hey guys, Brad Ziegler traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks earlier this week. In exchange, the Marlins received pitcher Tommy Eveld. Eveld originally from Coral Springs, Florida, and take a look at that as a kid. He even had the opportunity to wear a Marlins uniform. He is so excited about being a part of this organization, and guys, he's going to get that opportunity to once again wear a Marlins uniform. I'm going to guess this time around he'll need a little bit bigger size.
Perhaps. Maybe. You never know. He's got some good extension there as a youngster. Jessica, thanks so much. Yeah, Coral Springs kid. He's at Double-A when they acquired him and had some terrific numbers. Realmuto with a line drive out to right field, right into the glove of Nick Williams. You know, I also saw today, speaking of Brad Ziegler, as the Marlins have been celebrating 25 years, the Rockies as well. The Rays and Diamondbacks celebrating 20 years. And I believe it is today that the Diamondbacks celebrating their 20-year anniversary weekend. And on their 20-year anniversary team, Brad Ziegler, who is in his 2nd stint with the Diamondbacks.
And now you see why they traded for him.
Otherwise, you have to fly in.
And why go through all that?
Yeah, it's no fun. Here's Justin Bour. Takes a called strike. Bour accounting for the only Marlins run tonight. His 18th home run of the season to dead center field off of Eflin back in the 5th. On the ground, there's Santana. Flips to Eflin. And Eflin is through 7 with an 8-1 lead.
for Salute and Serve, presented by Ticked on August 6th. So we invite those who serve to join us for a ball game. Active and retired U.S. military personnel, veterans, firemen, and police officers receive 2 complimentary tickets when showing their official service IDs the center field entrance at Marlins Park. For more information, visit marlins.com/offers.
Harlan Garcia out for his second inning of work. Gave up a couple of hits. A 2-run home run off the bat of Cesar Hernandez. It's now 8-1 Phillies as Carlos Santana fouls one away.
Well, Santana having quite a night, 3 for 3, including a home run his last at bat.
Well, JT Realmuto out from behind home plate. Brian Holiday in. Misses outside. A ball and a strike to Santana. Well, if the Phillies can continue to get Santana feeling good at the plate, this series we have seen them click on all cylinders. They entered the day atop the National League East by a half game over the Atlanta Braves, who are currently trailing the New York Mets right now, 3-0 in the top of the 8th inning.
Well, just even conversation around the Philadelphia Phillies is just, it's been that. Of course, Hoskins has done a lot of the heavy lifting here of late. But you look at their record, you certainly know what their staff is. I think most people around the game would, outside of maybe DeGrom and Syndergaard, when you look at the Philadelphia Phillies starting rotation, you're like, there's not holes in that rotation. They can take you a long way. Of course, they're really waiting on the offense to just get a little bit more consistent. To your point, Santana starts to heat up. Hernandez, he's also got a home run tonight. He came in, snapped an 0 for 16 in the top spot in the lineup. A couple of hits.
On a hop to Riddle at short. And he'll make the play for the first out here in the 7th. So look there at the Philly Fanatic as we welcome you inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollandsworth just talking about the standings in the National League East. The other night, a tight game, of course, the Phillies a walk-off victory. After the game, Gabe Kapler, the skipper here in Philadelphia, was asked, do you look at the scoreboard? You look at the out-of-town scores. Were you a guy in a pennant race that would do that?
I looked at the scoreboard from day one all the way to the very end of the season. I was always paying attention to what everybody else was doing. Of course, I was an outfielder, so I stood in the outfield and had a lot more time on my hands.
You had to, yeah.
Well, it was either that or count the blades of grass. So I found that looking at the scoreboard was a lot easier to do.
Yeah, a little bit more entertaining. Sure, absolutely. There you go. Of course, a big auxiliary scoreboard here in Philadelphia as Cabrera fouls that one back. Again, now tonight, looking at the Marlins, certainly not the start that Jose Urena was hoping for after 6 innings and a 1 hit against the Nationals his last time out. He is looking for consistency.
Well, and that's, it's so interesting. You look at what his ERA, as I kind of mentioned about the 5th inning, where he's at from April through the end of July, and there is consistency there. It's right around a 4 ERA. But the point is this, you look at his starts, think back to his last start. He was absolutely brilliant. Where was his fastball command? Now, he did walk a few, but follow along. He only gave up 1 hit in 6 innings, but he walked 4. What does that tell you where some of those misses were? They certainly weren't to the middle of the plate.
Right.
Well, it was certainly off those outside edges. Now, I'm not here to tell you, Urena needs to walk more guys, but what you saw tonight in the home runs, the 3 home runs that he surrendered, was the ball, when he missed, was back towards the middle of the plate.
Up the middle by Cabrera. Well, I think again, it's not even a Marlins thing, but there can be a time when a pitcher throws too many strikes. That is a thing. We talk about all the time. Don't walk guys, but you don't want to throw too many strikes.
Oh, yeah, it's the idea of mistakes. I mean, that's exactly it. And again, for Urena, it's a little bit more complicated just because he doesn't, really use his secondary pitches nearly, as much in the same way that others might use them. They're put-away pitches for him. But really, you ask anybody around the league, what's Urena bring? Boy, he throws hard. 95, 97, good life on that fastball. That's where it all starts. That's the story. And I think it speaks to what we've seen ERA-wise and the consistency behind that. But when he's bad, tonight is always, that there's always that possibility of happening.
Yeah, there have been a number of times, as it's ball and no strikes to Maikel Franco, there have been a number of times when he, calls it a night with 1 earned run or less. He did so twice in April, twice in May, once in June,
right?
Twice in July. But the thing is, they aren't back to back. You know what I mean? So
well, right,
I know you mentioned the numbers before.
Yeah, and it also speaks to how that all balances out. When you're only giving up 1 earned run in a ball game, we should be saying, okay, wow, he's gone, much like Dan Straley did just before that last bad one that he had. Dan Straley went 5 or 6 consecutive starts, and we're talking sub-3 ERA. We haven't really got to that conversation with Urena yet because he really hasn't. About every 4 or 5 starts, there's that one where you're like, too many hits, a couple of home runs, he got himself in trouble.
Franco out to right field for Anderson. And back to first is Cabrera. 2 outs here in the 7th.
For me, and the reason I went there when I was putting my notes together for the series, was the reflection that you get from his ERA at the end of April, May, June, and July. That to me tells much more of the story than isolating the moments for Urena, because then now you're looking at it in pockets of 4, 5, or 6 starts. And when your ERA's 403, 396, 438, and 438 coming into tonight, month by month, what does that tell you? He's kind of pitched to a 4 ERA really all season long. We certainly could point out the areas of improvement, but at the end of the day, 4 ERA is a 4 ERA.
Oh, 0-1 to Andrew Knapp, who's got a couple of hits. Also struck out back in the 5th inning, the last of the 3 strikeouts tonight for Urena. I'll tell you what, Knapp doesn't get a lot of playing time, but he has now 5 hits in 12 at-bats this year in 6 games against the Marlins. And again, with the acquisition of Wilson Ramos, he might be the odd man out. Garcia set for a 1-2 pitch with Cabrera off of first. That one misses inside. 2-2. Well, it will not get any easier tomorrow for the Marlins. If this score holds, they will look to salvage the final game of this 4-game set against Aaron Nola, who certainly has himself in the discussion for a Cy Young. Guys like Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, Aaron Nola, that is. Austin Nola, of course, is a farmhand with the Marlins. Forgive me. Three-two. Foul back. After tomorrow's game, the Marlins will head home. A 3-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals. An off day on Thursday, and then the New York Mets in town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Mets currently lead 3-0 over the Braves in the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field as Knapp goes down looking. Garcia gets the strikeout. We are through 7 here at Citizens Bank Park. Roughly about 35,000 on hand tonight. Happy with the results to this point. Zach Eflin, who has been terrific tonight. Who does he remind you of?
Carl Pavano. Got some Carl Pavano in there. Not only do they look similar in the body type, structure, the sinker. Yeah, that's right. CP, one of the best sinkers in the game for a long time. Well, Eflin, he's been doing it tonight as well. I like that comparison an awful lot.
As do I. Gets my stamp of approval.
The funny thing is that I remember CP kind of like he had that finish too, where he would always pick up, and I've been seeing it tonight with Eflin, and it's kind of taken me back to playing behind Carl. He was always fidgeting with his uniform top, because he would finish his pitch, and you kind of at times will end up crooked, and your jersey, you twist a little bit, so you always kind of reset. Eflin does the same thing.
There's a base hit for Castro, his second of the night. As he leads off the 8th inning with a single. So another multi-hit game for Starlin Castro. Make it 36 this season. Tied with Brian Anderson for the team lead.
Told you this was going to go on all season long.
Love it. Now Miguel Rojas. So Eflin at 71 pitches tonight. We said it before, he's been so efficient. He has recorded 11 outs on 2 pitches or less. I mean, he is coming right at the Marlins tonight.
And I bet 9 of them on the sinker. Sometimes what ends up happening is you end up, you throw it in the go zone. It's not like the Marlins are up there chasing pitches off the corner and putting necessarily every bad pitch in play, and there's been this over aggressiveness. Eflin's challenged with the sinker. A lot of the Marlins have just hit it hard in the ground, and it's been at people.
And Rojas with a drive to left field, and Miggy goes deep. Miguel Rojas with a 2-run home run. And that will close the gap here at Citizens Bank Park. His first homer since May 20th when he hit 2 against the Braves. Coors Light refreshing finish.
Now look where the pitch is, up in the zone, inner third, Rojas all over it. Puts the bat down and finishes his trot. Great swing. I haven't seen Miggy Rowe pulling too many balls, but this is pretty fun to see. A couple of home runs tonight. Now, interestingly enough, the one area that Eflin has struggled at times, we mentioned it coming in. Of course, the score 8-3 now, but trouble with the long ball. The Marlins have 2 home runs tonight. In both innings they scored. They were doing it with their leadoff guy. That's the other place Eflin has struggled.
Well, for Rojas, that's his 8th homer of the season. We talked a lot about it early when it was a home run outburst the first month and a half of the season. He had 7 home runs entering tonight this year and 4 in his career,
right.
And those are that is his first home run since a 2-homer day in Atlanta in late May.
It was almost as if he was recreating himself earlier this season.
Yeah.
We didn't know how fast or how far that was going to go. Struggled a little bit and kind of got back to that up the middle other way approach. Every now and again he can still turn on it. He's got that power to do it.
And Riddle pops this one up. Foul territory left side for Franco, who makes the play. That's the first out in the 8th.
Manage your dream team in franchise mode, plus get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now. More at RBIGame.com, rated E for everyone.
Isaac Galloway with nobody on and 1 out. Takes a look at strike 1. A line out and a ground out tonight for Galloway. His first major league start. Fly ball out to center field for Roman Quinn. 2 away. Derek Dietrich will pinch hit here with 2 outs in the 8th inning. That's why you saw Javi Guerra up in the Marlins bullpen. Dietrich 1 for 4 last night with a double. Adam Morgan up for the Phillies.
And that double for Dietrich came in his last at bat. It was a ringing double into that right field corner. Turned on 97.
I talked to him about that today before the game. I said, did you hear, you guys get locked in when you're in the plate. You know what's going on. I said, the place was bouncing when you were at the plate.
Right.
You ripped that double, and the place, it was like somebody turned the knob, the volume knob, way down. Like it was immediate. And he said, yeah, I didn't even hear the ball, the crack off my bat. It was so loud.
And we're talking about the Philadelphia Phillies anticipating the last pitch of the game. Dietrich, representing potentially the last out, was down to 2 strikes and ripped a double into the right field corner, silencing everybody here. All, what was it, 35,000 last night as well?
A little over 33, yeah. Or a little less than 34, yeah. Tonight over 35,000 on hand as the Phillies celebrate the 10-year anniversary of their 2008 World Series championship team. Put Pat Gillick and the late Roy Halladay on their Phillies Wall of Fame prior to tonight's game. A lot of the 2008 team in attendance. There's some special festivities tomorrow too, I believe. I know that they're wrapping up their wiffle ball tournament. They've got the finals of that wiffle ball tournament. Check down at third. No swing, says Hunter Wendelstedt.
As entertaining as the wiffle ball tournament was, I was wondering how happy the players were getting sweaty in their nice clothes. I mean, they were trying hard to crank that wiffle ball out of the yard. Saw a number of guys in the hot sun, working up a lather.
And he called strike 3. A little off the edge. This game through 7.5. A home run by Miggy makes it 8-3. Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Javi Guerra in his 11th game of the season this year for the Marlins. Saw him in last night's ball game. Worked the 8th inning in the Phillies' 5-1 win last night. A strike at the bottom of the zone to Dylan Cousins, who pinch hits for Zach Eflin to lead off the 8th inning. Now this, listen, I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow when Aaron Nola pitches, because you were looking through some of the your notes. You go back to that first start of the season with Nola being lifted after, what, 66, 68 pitches?
Yep.
How about 85 pitches tonight, 60 strikes, and Eflin's not going to be able to
Well,
finish
how would
the
I
game.
tell you, you shouldn't be surprised, because this is kind of how they've used him. Now, we mentioned this at the onset of the ball game, you know, how Eflin's been used. He's already made a career high in starts.
Yeah.
And granted, I'm not wandering down that path because, again, the margins, you know, it's about a half season's worth, and he's dealt with some injuries. But the point is this: career high in starts, career high in innings. He has not made 85 pitches, which is actually the number he's sitting on this month. This is the most pitches he's actually made in a start tonight. Well, if you include July, of course.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill and rehash old stuff.
Well,
from
you're talking
April.
about dominating, throwing strikes, score the ball
just,
game. You know where this is
sort
all
of a
going.
baseball family,
Sure.
especially on a night when,
Right.
you know, Roy Halladay, before the game, honored in his 67 complete games. Listen, I understand why the Phillies would be doing what they're doing.
If it was June, I think you would probably see him out there. That's where it goes. He was 5-0 in 5 starts in June with a 1.76 ERA. In every start but one went above 92. But to your point, and we certainly know this, he's been struggling a little bit more of late. Did just give up a 2-run homer in the 8th.
Yep. No, I get it. I get it. Cousins strikes out for the first out here in the 8th inning. T-Mobile, built for baseball, takes us out to Arizona. 2-on, 2-out for Steven Souza Jr. A base hit down the right field line into the corner. Going to wind up being a 3-base hit for Souza Jr. A 3-0 Arizona lead. Ketel Marte takes Suarez deep. A 5-run first inning for the Arizona Diamondbacks as Roman Quinn fouls it off.
Well, the Arizona Diamondbacks tied with the Dodgers atop the National League West, identical 61-50 records. One thing the Diamondbacks trying to do a little bit better of is playing at home. Only 2 games over at home.
Swung on and missed at 94 upstairs by Quinn. Yeah, the Diamondbacks have won 8 of 12 atop that NL West with the Dodgers.
You know, we usually make you know, something of it. We've talked about it an awful lot with the Philadelphia Phillies, right? You know how well they've played at home this season. It really is what stands out. They're 36-18 record, and most of the division leaders typically play pretty well at home. I mean, you look across the American League, Houston, Cleveland both have 32 wins. Just about everybody at least 8 games over at home, including Boston, who's 40-15 at Fenway. How about the National League West, though? It kind of catches my attention. Hard hit to the right side. Castro up with it for out number 2. Then you go out west, you've got Arizona and Los Angeles. Arizona's only 2 games over at home. The Dodgers, surprisingly, only 3 games over at home. Best record in the division at home is actually the San Francisco Giants. They have a 56-55 record, but 10 games over 500.
Cesar Hernandez, nobody on, 2 out. And a home run his last at bat. Sends one out to center field. Sierra with room, a step onto the track, makes the play, and we move to the 9th inning with the Phillies up 8-3. their last at-bat. Cricket gives us something to smile about. The runs that they have scored tonight. A long home run to dead center field for Justin Bohr, connecting on his 18th home run of the season. And then in the 8th inning, Miguel Rojas with his 8th. Two-run shot to make it 8-3.
23rd game for the Marlins. Multiple homers.
Zach Eflin out and Adam Morgan in. Attempt to finish things off for the Phillies. Top of the order due up. Sierra, Anderson, and then Brian Holiday. 45th game this year for Morgan.
5.08 ERA, just returned from the paternity list August 1st. Of course, the Marlins this year, 2.45 ERA. 3 2/3 innings of work over 5 games. This puts very well against the Marlins in his career. 1.86 ERA. Fastball, slider. So have a changeup, curve, and sinker if needed. He's been pitching a little bit better of late. Just 2 hits to the lefties, 2 for their last 17.
Slapped foul wide of the third base bag. Sierra stays alive. Well, a strong night tonight for Eflin as he goes 8 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. Again, 85 pitches tonight, 60 for strikes. I guess the baseball fan in me would question, why is he out of the game? But again, we talked about it before with the Phillies and where they are at. As Sierra strikes out, they might even go to a 6-man rotation come September, because a lot of their young arms, Arrieta aside, of course, are hitting their max innings. And again, this team is in a pennant race a year early to some, but perhaps right on time for them. That's why they got Arrieta. That's why they got Santana.
Well, first things first, they're going to try to win this division, and to your point, manage the innings, but at the same time try to win. Not easy to do. And your greatest strength is your starting pitching. That leads me to think back to, what was it, about 5 years ago, I'll call it the infamous Strasburg shutdown in D.C.
Yes.
I don't think any Phillies fans will sit well with that. Anybody in this rotation really ends up having to go through that. Not that they've hinted at it at all. My point merely being that they need to find a way to divvy up those innings the right way. And if it means the 6th starter or an extra day's rest or even a skipped start, might make some sense.
Blowing into Brian Anderson. Again, if the score holds, the Phillies will pick up a full game on the Atlanta Braves, who were shut out by the New York Mets tonight. 7 scoreless innings from Zach Wheeler. 3 hits, a walk, and 9 strikeouts. Boy, how good has he been recently?
Yeah, he was very available at the deadline, and nobody made a play for him. A lot of that maybe centered around his history, but to your point, it's been an incredible role.
Meanwhile, the Marlins will go home to take on the St. Louis Cardinals, who lead the Pirates right now in the top of the 8th inning, 7-4 in Pittsburgh, as Anderson draws the 1-out walk here in the 9th. Brian Holiday gets the at-bat, came in as a defensive substitution for JT Realmuto. Dan Straley and Aaron Nola tomorrow. Marlins Live pregame show on the air at 1. First pitch a little after 1:30. Last of this 4-game set. Just looking up the advanced probables for that Mets series. Could be Wheeler on Friday against Urania. So. Backing out of play, 1-2. Ball and 2 strikes on Holiday. Fly ball right side. Santana gives it a look, but that'll reach the seats. Phillies on the doorstep of increasing their already National League best 36-18 record at home. They have won 10 of the last 12 here at Citizens Bank Park. Holiday left field line that will sneak into the seats.
Well, Holiday putting together a very nice at bat.
Another 2-2 pitch. Shot out to right field. That'll hold up, hang up rather, for Williams. And that's out number 2.
Well, a great swing for Holiday. Unfortunately, that one does not get down. The bat defended the secondary pitches, got himself a fastball and hit it well.
Last hope for the Marlins, Justin Bour. With a home run back in the 5th inning. In fact, was the first hit tonight for the Marlins, who have 4. A little high as Anderson takes second on the defensive indifference.
Justin Bour, his 3rd home run in the second half, and this breaking ball just a bit high over his head. Maybe a couple of home runs versus the Southpaws this season.
.1-0 to JB. Swung on and missed. Marlins down to their final strike tonight. Remains of the 35,194 on their feet here at Citizens Bank Park. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Or literally throws the bat at the ball. And he will see another.
Well, nice job defending the zone. It's called throwing your hands at it, right? Bat is an extension of your hands, just enough to foul it off. Well, you see a pitch like that, can't help but wonder what's coming next.
Bohr strikes out, and the Phillies have taken the first 3 games of this 4-game set. Going to come back to Citizens Bank Park and wrap it up on the other side of the break. 8-3 Phillies.